Hey everybody, I'm here for TDA help or questions about Anne Frank. I'm going to be doing a little kind of, explanation of my Anne Frank trip and stuff this past September. I'll be doing it next week. As long as my stream doesn't come down, I'll be around to help out with what anybody needs. And any TDA questions, I had a couple of students ask, do a stream. I got knocked down last week, so no one knocked me down. It'll make me angry. Anyway, I'm going to be going through and grading some Common Lit assignments here. So if anybody has any questions, my big suggestion, and I'm going to toss this in here, if you have any questions, ask here in the chat or in our Google chat. And then that way, if you, because someone said something about on your guys' accounts, it's difficult to comment or something like that. Silent mode on the phone, and I'm completely wide open for questions here. Let's see what we got here. Having some situations with some of our Holocaust assignment here. Ba 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 ba. If anybody has any questions, just calling you out again. Don't be afraid to hop in the chat, either here or in our Google chats. I actually prefer our Google chats because that way everybody can see the questions and stuff. And if anybody has any issues getting onto the stream, there's that. Plus, I had a request from a student specifically yesterday about the stream. All right, common lit time. Here we go. Excellent work. You guys are really rocking this. I really appreciate everybody hopping on here. I'm afraid to post this to Google Classroom. This chat I'm doing here. So the last time I did, someone took it down. I wasn't happy about it. I'll post it. See how it goes. Let's see. Fingers crossed. I'm going to throw this back in the chat here. If you have any questions, either ask here or ask in our Google chat. Like I said, I prefer our Google chats. That way it's a little bit easier for us to communicate. I'll get right back to you here, though. I don't mind. The reason I'm live is just so I can easily answer a question out loud if somebody has one. I'm here for TDA help, here for any questions about Anne Frank. And if you haven't checked out that video on my channel about the Holocaust, it's you know, it's me, of course, talking in my own boring way, but it's there, and it's got all the information and all the explanation of all those notes, because there's a little bit more than just the couple of things to pay attention to. And if anyone has any questions, throw something in the Google chat. There we go. How are we going to read the book? I have. Oh, okay, good. Grandmother gave it to you for your birthday. That's really interesting because actually Anne got her diary for her birthday. We're going to read some selected entries from the diary that I have kind of like copied. I'm going to be posting out to you guys. And we actually have there's a version, just a version of a lot of the moments that happen in the story. We'll be doing some readings and stuff, though, of some of my favorite entries in the diary live here on YouTube and every day. Oh yeah, and happy birthday, Owen. Whenever your birthday was really recently. Hopefully you had a good time. Good to see everybody there. Like I said, feel free to hop into the Google chats and things like that. I hope everybody had a good birthday recently. It's a tough time to have a birthday. You can't like celebrate the way you want to celebrate. You know, there's nothing like being with like lots and lots of other people, which is what this is kind of like really showing us that we kind of need, you know. As our school opened up the possibility that we could be using Zoom again, and I like Zoom for what it does, but I think as a then just a couple of days ago, I think as a precaution, New York State ended up banning it pretty much, so we're not allowed to use Zoom anymore. Well, we shouldn't use Zoom anymore. There's a lot of privacy issues. They made it only very recently so that if like anybody had the link, they could get into any Zoom. That's a danger. So it's kind of tough that way. But anyway, I'm here for another half hour-ish to see if anybody needs help with TDAs. I'm also available by email and stuff like that. The only time I'm not going to answer an email is like after like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I'll be pretty much around. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. If you have something specific to ask about your TDA, don't be afraid to email. You know, I'm going to kind of keep on doing all kinds of whatever. What is this? I have no idea what that is. Check my one class and see how everyone's doing on Anne Frank. It's my blue class. Yeah, I'm communicating. Apparently, a lot of teachers are having trouble. Oh, someone liked the video. Thank you for liking the video. That's all good. Some people are having a difficult time getting a hold of certain students, keeping up with work. I'm really happy everybody did yesterday's work because I'm looking at it and it's awesome. I'm really happy. I'm just glad this is working for people. So go. When does stuff start being graded again? Good question. What's happening right now is we are kind of going through and Anne Frank will say this too, a phase. And there's certain things at the administrative level. Essentially, what's happening though is we're essentially putting out a good faith attempt to kind of like teach and do work. I'm going to carry on pretty much as normal. I'm not going to worry too much. And the moment they basically kind of retroactively say anything that was done is going to count for your grades, make sure you guys are doing stuff. The more we do the work now, the less we'll have to make up later. So keep that in mind. We all need to be making a good showing, or else the time we're doing right now won't count. That if there's Yeah, it's not optional anymore. Definitely do all your work. Because if we need to make sure we're doing all of our work, or else the school, there's concern. Boring. Oh, I'll stay safe. We miss you, Sophia. There was one day. What were we doing? We were doing something, and you like went in there and like answered some questions, and I forget what we were maybe we were doing mythology or something. I can't remember. It was really nice to hear from you. I hope you're doing well there. Um, so it's good to hear from you. Yeah, we're gonna try to make Anne Frank as interesting as possible. My hope was, because we're about to read like the play version, my hope was we could go on Zoom and with ever who's there. I mean, it doesn't have to be whatever. We could assign parts and like read it and stuff. There's still the option is open to do that, and we could do it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We just don't want creepers jumping in there or anything like that, because that's been the problem. Like Zoom isn't tied into the whole Google situation. So like if we did a Google Meet or something. That's okay. What? No. No, you're good. Nah. Life has to go on at some point. Can I, as a teacher, I can kick people out entirely. Whoever's running the Zoom stream can, but it might not stop something from just happening in the moment. That's been the problem. I read there was a really interesting news story that happened. There was because colleges are still 100% going, and because people need their degrees, life needs to move on. There was this story where this guy was doing his master's thesis presentation, and his PhD, and when you do your doctorate, final presentation of your thesis and stuff. Oh, here comes Lucy. She's my blind cat. Yeah. But anyway, when you do your final thing, you need to do a big presentation that can take sometimes many hours, and you need to kind of present your findings and your thesis in front of a panel of experts in your field, and most of them are professors and stuff in your college. And a guy had to do it on Zoom, and people posted all kinds of like racial slurs and things like that. Somebody got in there and like posted a bunch of like horrible stuff in the middle of this guy's most important thing ever. And then I guess the concern is like if we were to go in and somebody were to like randomly jump into the Zoom thing, it would be, I personally as a teacher could be held liable for whatever, happens if some random person jumps in there. It wouldn't happen that way at school. Some like random person poked their head in the door of the classroom and like, said something horrible. I couldn't be held liable, but here on the internet, it's a different story, unfortunately. So I'll think really hard about it. I'd really like to be able to do something like that, maybe even at least one day, because there's so many good parts, and it's a fun play to read out loud. We did that Hitchhiker one earlier in the year, and like there was. If you're asking for, is it being graded for correctness right now? No. I am still sending things back, and essentially the idea is do your work. That's what counts at this point. Because you guys will see on your report cards and stuff, they're not even sending them home. Last marking period ended up getting pushed to like a pass-fail kind of a situation. So keep that in mind. Yeah. Just to let you know, like teachers are allowed to grade work. Our school has decided to just kind of like because there are some people who have no access to the internet and stuff like that, not have the grading thing in there, but we have to be doing stuff. Normal school, it's going to be a little bit more simple, and we're going to keep it nice and simple for you every day. and you'll end up making it through the rest of this year totally fine. By the way, I am going to send out a thing individually to students who ended up getting into honors for next year. So if you made it into honors 9, we have all that information for you guys. So, and I'm looking in a lot of the chat here, and I'm seeing a lot of people who actually are going to be in honors 9 next year. I let this thing get too sippy. I was going to eat an ice pop, and it's starting to leak. Because when we would review stuff, Sophia, we would like see your stuff pop in like all the time. I was that one day we were doing something and you were like actually were putting really good answers in there. Oh, it was for Lady or the Tiger. I think that was it because you had read that before you bopped out. That was good. Olivia, I'm going to say that's a heck of a reflex to be able to type out, 7 letters. Especially because I'm sitting right on greeting your thing here. But you were good. Red class, all of your guys' common lits from yesterday are all graded. See, in purple class. Oh, if you already turned in, this is Surgeon asked, if we already turned in the TDA before school got canceled, you're good. I have it. I had all the ones that were done. I unfortunately did leave the undone ones, the ones that weren't finished, at the school. I stopped in on Friday to pack up a few things this past week because they closed the school down completely. And when we get a chance to get back in, I'll get back in there and grab anybody's who weren't there. So you are fine. I'm going to be slowly kind of going through everybody's TDAs over the next week. I'm actually going to take I know it's like, you guys don't have to do anything Thursday, Friday, or Monday, but I'm going to take those days to make sure I get all of the other work done because I'm going to be spending enough time like looking at people's responses for everything else digital here. So you should be getting relatively in-depth responses from me on all the work you guys are doing. Do I think we're coming back to school? Well, we're currently on indefinite right now. I can tell you officially, no school can go past June 30th. As it stands now, the idea is as long as everybody is doing what we're supposed to be doing and the quarantine continues, into the summertime, then we should be ending around the same time that we would have been before, which is about around June 2nd. So I don't know if we're going back to school or not. When they closed everything indefinitely, that puts a big question mark on everybody's things. So there's a lot to. Your teachers are doing some of this digital stuff for the first time ever, and they're having a time. But most of them are actually doing really well. Most of them are really giving it a good try. And that right there is Arian. Most of my wife went upstairs. But there's Arian. He is the fluffiest, nicest, chubbiest cat in the universe. My little 2-year-old niece, when she was coming over, when she would come over, like, he's like the size of her pretty much. And like when she would just hug him and stuff, like it's nothing but fur. So she loved it. I can't wait till I see people again. Miss a lot of people. It's actually super weird not being in school right now also. All right, cool. Well, anyway, I'm just about hit my time here. If anybody has any TDA questions, feel free to message me. I'm making them do the Tuesday after we get back, just because, and especially if the work that we're doing daily is getting in the way of you doing TDA stuff, I don't want you to stress at all. And then that way, if you have a free moment over our holiday, then you might have a free moment or two. You can maybe get that done. Please feel free to jump in any of the chats and ask a question or say hi or anything like that. And maybe Surgeon didn't hear me. That's great. No one took my stream down this time, so I feel good about that. And I should be popping on pretty much every day for at least 45 minutes to an hour during my office hours each day, just to kind of check in and see how everyone's doing. I want to make sure I'm nice. I stay nice and connected to everybody, especially while we work through all this crazy stuff, and especially while Anne Frank's going on. I want to make sure that's good. Anyway, good luck, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. End stream.